Hey, welcome to Cherryvale episode 3. We are making a nether hub today, which we kinda started in the last episode, as in there is a nether portal on the roof that leads to my base, and there's actually a bunch of other portals on the roof with us, like that one over there, and the rest of them are significantly out of my render distance, but that is not a very functional nether hub. I have all the coordinates for the portals, so theoretically I could look them up on my phone and then run over to them when I need to get resources from the different biomes that they're in. But that's not really going to work. It's going to get really annoying really fast. I have to look up where these portals are every single time. So we're going to go ahead and make a path network today. And those paths are going to be made out of carpet. I've decided it is the ideal material to make paths on a nether roof with, because not only is it flat and spawn proof, so it won't allow any mobs to be up here with us, it's also colorful, so I can color code all of my paths that are going to the different portals. Like the one to over there will probably be dark green because that's a forest biome, and we could have some pink going to the flower forest, some red going to the mangrove swamp, all different types of colors, and it should make a really cool terrain map-esque type thing up here, which I'm really looking forward to. Only problem is I don't have any wool. Seriously, I've been looking through my chests. I'm pretty sure this is the only wool I have. Literally 8 wool in all of my chests. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it, and 8 is not gonna cut it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to at least need thousands of wool, probably only 1,000 wool, but still that's a lot, and I don't really want to just go shear sheep for it, because I totally could. There are sheep on the other side of the mountains over here that I've used to get wool for tiny little uses of it that I need in the past, but it would take so long to get the amount of wool that I need that it would just be better to make a wool farm, so that's what we're gonna do. So I've popped over into a creative world to check out some designs. This is the classic vanilla wool farm where you have a sheep, he eats some wool, or some grass, that grass activates this observer, which activates this dispenser, which has shears in it, and that gets you some wool, and also some raw mutton. Just ignore that. That only happens if you purposely kill the sheep. But this one is not very efficient. You have one sheep in each cell, and you can have as many of these as you want, but they take up a lot of space and they're not that compact. Luckily though, this create mod one is a lot better. This is just a ton of sheep, and instead of having any smart system that detects when the sheep eats grass to know that it has its coat back, it just spins around some deployers to always try and shear the sheep. So anytime a sheep eats, it just immediately gets sheared, because the deployers down here are shearing the sheep above just in a circle. So if any of these sheep eat the grass, they get their coats back, and then the deployers will just go around and continuously try to shear them. And it works really well. In the same amount of time, or actually slightly less than that one's been going, it has gotten that much wool. And to be fair, this one has a lot more sheep, but this is a much more efficient way to do it, because you can just have a giant pen of sheep, and I could just keep spawning more of these guys, and it would just get more and more efficient. So this is the design we're going to build. I just have to go come up with a place to put it. Now that actual pen is probably going to go underground somewhere, just because it has to be so big and featureless that I don't want to just make a little circle for sheep somewhere in here and just call it a day. So I'm going to hide that underground somewhere, but I do want to make a little aesthetic sheep pen somewhere that just has sheep in it. It won't be functional or anything, but it'll look pretty, and that is equally important, I guess. Only problem is I haven't really planned out too much of this city yet. Problem is, if I'm making something that's aesthetic, it has to actually make sense for the town that I'm going to be putting in this valley, and it's going to be the first build, so it's kind of important that I get this right and it doesn't mess up everything later on. But I think I've come up with a pretty good idea. So they're hobbits, right? So to some degree, they'll be living in hobbit holes in the walls of the valley, which would leave a lot of this open space in the middle for other stuff, namely farms and sheep, for instance, because you're gonna need that flat area for stuff like crops and livestock if you're going to have those things to sustain your town. So I think the sheep are going to go somewhere in this kind of flat bottom area, but that's still a pretty big region, and honestly I could continue to plan more and more stuff out until I eventually have the perfect place to put the sheep, but I'm just gonna choose a place and go with it, because as long as it's somewhere down here that makes at least least a little bit of sense, it'll probably be fine. So I think I'm going to build it right here, right where my nether portal is, even though it's the only other thing down here. And that's because I had an idea for the build that can only really be done in this location where the hill is a little bit steeper. So we're going to put it here, and now we can actually get building. But before we get started, I have to make something, because I don't like building very much, but the create mod does actually add in something to make it so I don't have to. It's called a schematic cannon. It's not too bad of a recipe. It's a little heavy on the iron, but it has one amazing thing that you can take schematics of something you've built before, even if it's in a different world, say a creative copy of this one where I built the entire thing, and you can put that schematic into the schematic cannon and it'll place the blocks for you using gunpowder. Of course, you still have to gather the resources and everything, but it makes the entire process a lot simpler. And using a schematic table and a empty schematic, I can take the sheep schematic that I made and load it onto this empty schematic, which takes a while, but eventually gives us this not empty schematic. And we can take this, and you can see that blue bounding box there, and we can place it somewhere in the world, specifically in the location where it's going to build the build. And now that I've done that, I take that place schematic, put it into the schematic cannon. I also take a clipboard and put it in there, and it will give me a list of all of the different resources that I need to do this build. So now I'm just going to go get everything on this list, which is mostly stuff I already have. A lot of cherry stuff, a lot of like chests, and a lot of random assorted create stuff, and it's a lot of stuff, but like I said, none of it is that difficult to get. And if we put the material list in there now, it will automatically check off everything that I've already collected, which is a good couple pages of stuff, but we are left with 4 different things, one of which is obsidian, which you don't actually need. It's just a discrepancy between the amount of obsidian in that lava lake in the creative world versus in this one, because the creative one was made before I actually mined a lot of the obsidian down there, so don't need the obsidian, and that leaves us with 3 different things left. And we're going to start with the easiest of these 3, which is shockingly mechanical arm and not, grass and podzol, and that's because these 2 require silk touch, which I don't have yet, so they're going to be a pain to get, but the mechanical arm, while also is going to be a pain, is a little bit less. That's because mechanical arms require something called a precision mechanism, which requires a sequenced assembly, which is pretty much just a really annoying way to craft things. You need to have a deployer and a depot, and then you put like the initial ingredient on the depot and you give the deployer the rest of them, and you do that, and then this is now a incomplete precision mechanism, which is definitely the most annoying sequenced assembly recipe, because most are like, oh, a couple different things you have to put on. But precision mechanism, no. It's only 3 things, but you need 5 of each of them, so it's 15 things in total, and you just have to do this for all of them, and it's slowly making more and more progress on this incomplete precision mechanism. So, a very annoying recipe to do, but doesn't actually take that long when you just, kind of do it. Although now that I'm down to the last single iron nugget, we get to the stressful part, because precision mechanisms have about a 5% chance to not build, and that one didn't, but they do have a small chance to just kind of give you garbage for that kind of long process. It's actually not that long, but it's just mildly annoying. Now that we have that precision mechanism, we can make our auto arm. Now with that one done, we can check it off the list and get working on grass and podzol, which does essentially just mean I have to go get silk touch. Now normally I would just go to a village and get a villager to sell me silk touch, but I feel like testing my luck today for no real reason at all, but I'm just gonna try and enchant a diamond shovel with just a 1-level enchanting table, and we're gonna see how it goes. So none of these are very good, but we'll try the efficiency one. Nope, just efficiency. Yeah, I don't really know what I expected, but I'm gonna make a grindstone and just take the enchantment off and keep trying. I've done this 10 times now, and I'm out of levels, and it's only ever done efficiency or unbreaking, and I'm starting to think that you can't get silk touch with this level of enchantment table, which I think that's probably correct, because this is literally a 0-level enchantment table, and I could get bookshelves and continue to try and do it this way, but honestly, I'm just gonna go to a village. It's not that hard. Well, that really wasn't too bad. I've got my silk touch book, and I wish I had started with this, because that only took 10 minutes to walk here, trade with a Fletcher for emeralds, and then get this librarian to give me silk touch. So, got silk touch, let's go get some grass and some podzol. Done and done, which means we are ready to build this thing, so let's go ahead and jump into a time lapse. Well, that went all right, I guess. A couple things did mess up, but the build overall turned out pretty good. As some nice pink trees on the top, got a nice little enclosure for all the sheep, and this is where the first issue is, which is all of the pink petals are just like singular ones in the top right corner of all the blocks. So I have to fix that, but the other issue is a little bit like bigger, as in none of these trees have tops, and this is one that is all on me. I really should have like accounted for this, but pretty much when I was designing this, I grew a tree and then I hollowed out the tree, which means that the leaves are not close enough to a log to keep from decaying. I just had like leaf decay off in my other world, but in this one leaf decay is on and the leaves have decayed, so I just need to get some cherry leaves and place them down. I have plenty of extras, so it's fine, but it's just a little bit more work. There we go. I have fixed the ground covering and I have fixed the roof of all of the little tree houses, and it looks worse than it did in the creative world, but it's fine. It still looks decent enough, and I think this build turned out really well. I'm super happy with it because I've really leaned into like the cherry tree stuff. They're like living in the trees, and we've got like the roots of the trees going throughout the little sheep pen here, and then I just decided to do a little cobble wall around it. I think it all turned out really nice and really pretty, and if it looks like it ends really abruptly right here, it's because it kind of does. There's going to be a lake here eventually at like this level. It will go up to like here, so the only reason it looks so janky right now is because there's no water, but I also haven't built that lake yet, so I'll do that at some point, just not right now. And yeah, other than that, I believe everything went quite well. Actually, there is one more thing that's missing, and that's in these rooms. There's supposed to be flower pots like on most of these little ledges, and none of them are here. It also didn't ask for them in the resource list, so I don't know what happened with that one. It just kind of decided not to, but I will fix it later because I want to get onto the technical stuff, which is also mostly built, actually. If we head into the little pile of hay bales, we can see back here we have firstly a item vault to store a whole bunch of wool. We have an auto arm to get that wool up to the top. We have a little dispenser here, and it's a whole functional sheep farm. It's only missing one thing, and that is the actual sheep. And while all this is the exact same as it was in the creative world, and I already explained about that, I should explain how item vaults work, because they're very cool. This whole giant thing is an item vault, and it can hold up to about 100,000 items, which it sounds pretty good, but actually for this area, double chests get more than that. But the point is, it's all one cohesive thing. So items are being put in way over here, and I can take them out on this side, and also it just has a pretty good storage capacity. So this is going to be the main storage for all of the wool, and then it's going to be outputting stacks of wool at a time to here, which that auto arm will grab and put into the barrel up here. So it all works as a very nice storage system that gets the stuff up into the trees, because I figure the shepherds are probably living up here above their livestock, and then the livestock themselves are just down here somewhere. So I decided to have the output for the wool up here, because that would probably be where you want to store it, and not with the actual sheep like you're storing the hay, because that's probably to feed them or something. I don't know, but the whole system should work really well. I've even added a little display link here, which pretty much takes whatever the number of wool in this item vault is, and it sends that number up to the sign on this barrel, which it's not doing right now. That's kind of broken. I don't really know why, but I'll fix it later, because we got to get sheep in here. This thing is completely empty right now. Luckily, there are sheep pretty close by, just on the other side of the ring of mountains. There's this nice little savanna biome that has plenty of sheep, and this is where I've been getting my wool from. I come here and shear the wild sheep that are around, but this time I'm going to take 2 of these guys and bring them back to the sheep farm. Actually, I think I'm going to leave them in this outside pasture area, because I do want to have some sheep out here, and if I want to have sheep in both places, it's going to be a lot easier to breed a couple sheep here and then bring those sheep into this farm than to breed the sheep in the farm and bring them back out here. So we're just going to start here, and I just have to breed these guys up for quite a while, so let's jump into another time lapse. So that was about an hour of sheep breeding, and this is as far as I'm going to go. I'm out of wheat, and also it's gotten to the point that the sheep kind of eat the grass as soon as it grows. Like, most of this pen is dirt now, so there's just not really any point in making more sheep, because if there's not grass for the sheep to eat, then there's no point in having the sheep. So we're going to stop it here, And we can actually kind of turn on this farm now. All I have to do is head down here to the inner mechanism of the whole thing, give it some water to run the water wheel, and it'll start going. And now if I go ahead and craft about 1 billion shears, we can throw those in here, and the thing will start to accumulate wool quite fast, actually. So that should be going, and once it gets around, yeah, we just got 54 wool. Oh, nope, even more. And that's because it just sheared all of the sheep at once, so it won't be going that fast normally, but, you know, the first couple times it will be doing very, very large amounts of efficiency. Also, I didn't do this properly. That needs a white wool funnel, so it does not output my shears. And now that we've got that all running, I think it's time we try and fix some of the problems, namely this sign, because this sign is supposed to display the amount of wool we have in storage down there, and it seems to not at the moment. So I'm going to try replacing this display link, which should be sending the number to that, and see if that fixes it. So put that down there, and then we say line 2, just so it looks nice, list of, or amount of matching items, label it as wool, preferably, if it'll let me. There we go. And now, hopefully, that should be... Okay, I actually got the advancement that time. Hopefully that should be sending a number to this sign, which it seems like it's still not doing. I mean, we should be getting wool. There definitely has to be wool in here. This one only outputs stacks at a time, so if I, like, decrease that filter down to, like, 1, yeah, it'll output wool. So, I'm a little confused as to what's happening here. I suppose I don't really need that sign to, like, do things, but I'd like it to. It'd be nice. Well, I've been trying for a good 10 minutes now, and I'm giving up. I've attached the display link, like, in a different place. I've put a spruce sign down here in case cherrywood, for whatever reason, doesn't work. Nothing seems to fix it. I'm assuming display links are just, like, glitched in this version of the mod or something. So apparently this is something that happened, like, back in 1.19 for a while as well. So, yeah, I think this just isn't gonna work, but that's kind of fine. We still have, like, the amount of wool that just is in the barrel, and that is a decent indicator for how much the farm is made up until the point that that barrel is full, which at that point, I guess I don't really care how much wool the farm has made because it's filled all of the actually accessible wool. But for now, it's made 2 stacks, so that's not bad. But I'm going to go ahead AFK for an hour just to see how much this farm makes, because I'm really curious. About 22 stacks in an hour, apparently, because we started with about 2 here, and now we're up to about 24. So very good rates. I'm super happy with that. And now that we have this wool, we can actually get working on the nether hub that was the whole point of this entire farm. However, we're just about out of time for this episode, so I'll finish the nether hub that I started last time in the next video. Actually, I'm just going to do that in between episodes. It's a pretty boring process. It's mostly just going to be me looking for flowers to actually dye the carpet to put on the nether roof, then actually placing the carpet, so I'll spare you guys the boredom of that. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go hit all the relevant buttons down below, and I will see you next time.